Hello, everyone. Sorry about being delayed here a few seconds. Been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So, want to just say that I'm going to do this live stream. I'm going to do it for an hour. So, right now it's 3 o'clock Pacific time. By 4 o'clock, I need to have this wound up. Friends are in town. Sorry, I've just kind of been running. I had to put some stuff in the car. Friends are in town, and we're going to dinner at 5. So, and it's across town. So sorry about that. Okay, so wanted to talk to you guys about just looking up comps. And I would assume by now that most people are privy to using the app. So just put it that way. And so if you're not, there's a lot of new people that watch this show. Some of you guys might not be privy to it. I'm not going to do a deep dive into it, but I just want to talk about, some of the things that I've noticed. And I have a real quick video to show you guys and maybe get your opinion on what I'm seeing here. And we'll talk about the what here in a minute and why, but that's beside the point. But before I begin, just want to say, if you're watching this live, please put your questions in the chat. And of course, answer any questions that may come up as well. I'm going to try to keep up as best as I can today. And if you're watching with, late, you didn't make the live, maybe you can make it next time. But comment down below. That's kind of what I ask. If you can, a lot of people watch this show and they have so much input to give, but they just choose not to involve themselves. And it's nice to have new faces and to be able to help people. So, don't be afraid to just reach out, comment, say hi. But either way, hit that like button, and that just supports the channel. It gets the live stream out to others. So I'd appreciate that. Okay, so today, real quick, I wanted to talk on and hit up on using your, comps to determine what is an ideal item to purchase to resell. Now, if you're not using your phone, if you're not using the eBay app and looking up comps when you're out and about getting stuff, you're kind of going to be behind the 8 ball. Now, I was out yard selling this last weekend, okay, and I picked up, and I like to buy stuff as a bundle. So I'm looking around the yard sale, and I actually had this on video, but my GoPro, and I'm new to using the GoPro, so I'm trying to get some practice, had the wrong angle shot. So I really wasn't able to put together a very good video. So I just scrapped it. And I'm that way. I won't put out a half video. So for me, I wanted to talk about utilizing comps because of the situation. And so I picked up a bunch of different things that he had that were pretty interesting to me. And, he wanted $3 here, $4 there. And when I find a lot of things that I'm interested in at a yard sale, I like to bundle it. So I think it's easier to just say, okay, what do you want for all this? So now it puts them in the mindset of, okay, well, they're going to throw out a low ball number probably, right? And it gets them in the mindset that I'm expecting a discount. So I say that because I picked up something that is a very popular eBay item or items. And I'll let you maybe throw some guesses in the chat, but it's a very popular and collectible type item. And you guys know I have very limited experience with collectibles. Let me just put it out there like that. So utilizing the comps this time threw me off, and it's not a big deal. It only cost me about, I think, $3 for all of it. But I'm going to show you a video, and I just want you guys to help me figure this out. What is going on here? And I say this because when we're looking up comps, let's say we're looking up a $20 item, okay? That's kind of, let's say someone might have it for $18.99. Someone might have it for, $24.99, but there isn't going to be a huge discrepancy on the comps. And, to have even double the price is kind of suspicious. But when we're looking at, an item that's selling for $5 or $6, and over here it sold for 500. What is going on? Okay. And I want you guys to not judge me here. Okay. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, but I just remember, I picked these up for $3. Saw that they could be, and they are vintage, but they didn't cost me much. But I'm glad I did, because as I got into it, it allowed me to kind of see something isn't right here, and it's makes for good conversation. So I'm gonna play about a 1.5-minute video for you, and I'll be talking through it as we go. So now this is the collection. You guys know what this is. These are Beanie Babies. And look, this is one that's a went for $3.50, and another comp for 600. Here's another one, Inchworm, and that one $1.29 was 150. They took a best offer. I don't understand. Here's another one. This is the dog Beanie Baby. These are all McDonald's, by the way. This is Dobie, and that's about right, $2.99. Here's the Pelican Beanie Baby from McDonald's. These are all Happy Meal toys, $7.50, and then 500. The lobster, $2 or $100. Here we goes another one, $1.99 to 100. Another one here. That's about normalized, $7.99 or $9.60. We have a $600 cat that's not even in the bag, and then a brand new one for $4. And then we have one for $65, and then the same koala bear for $1.29. And then let's see, we got a couple more here. We've got this elephant. It's about right, $6 or $2, right? And then the last one went for $100 in the bag, or $80, but also some smaller comps as well. So that is my little video presentation. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but Beanie Babies. Now, I'm not a big Beanie Baby fan. I don't know anything about it. I've heard a lot of things about Beanie Babies being sort of the at one point someone thought of it as being a get rich quick scheme on eBay, and people bought into it, and it was a dive. And so I knew that going in, but for $3, and they're sealed, they're new, they're McDonald's toys. And I just kind of figured, you know what, why not take the shot at it? I saw the comps. I didn't quite believe the comps, of course, but I knew that there is still enough value to pick it up for $3. There's 11 of them. So what is going on? Why such a big discrepancy? Now, you guys saw the video. Why the big discrepancy? The same exact thing. And I called Archie today, and Archie seemed to think that, you had shills that were bidding up these things. But my question to him that he couldn't answer is why? Why would anyone put up an item for, let's say, $150 and then take a best offer from a shill account, right, for less than that? And these are all recent, within the last 90 days, by the way, these comps. So what is going on here? Why? Is it maybe you're just throwing that line out in the water with the right bait? Maybe you're the title, the vintage title. I don't know. And it seems like a lot of these sellers that are selling these items for such a high price had low feedback numbers. So maybe that'll play into it as well. Now, I'm not expecting anything of this at all, but it's shocking when you see something you pick up and it's like, wow, I just bought all these for $3, and the first one out the gate is 600 with a sold. You go to the next one, you see others that have sold at pretty high numbers. What is going on? So I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about that. Let's see. So we have Prosser in the house. We have Damian D in the house. Thanks for showing up early. Janet Hayter is in the house, and Biscuit Butts here. Bing Bling Factor Australia. Carolyn is in the house. Savage Pickers. Y Worka is in the house. Tony Resells. Who's your pick? Gail Carson. Kevin Hawthorne from Florida. Noah Design is in the house. Who's your pick? I just said that. Biff Boffo. The great Tommy Bernard. Biff Boffo. Darren Adams. Anytime Picker. And I'm sure there's many, many more. We have 56 people watching. So Just want to know your thoughts on this. And let's see. Who's your pick says, do you look up comps at a yard sale? I feel weird doing that in front of the owner. Don't mind at thrift stores, but I feel like it is rude to do it at yard sales. Okay, so it's a strategy, right? And I feel like unless they ask me, and I have no problem coming out and telling the truth, but unless they ask me, I really feel it can have an impact on the deal that you're going to get if you come right out and say, you know, I sell on yard sales. Now, if I'm showing up with I sell on eBay, by the way. If you come out with a GoPro on, I mean, it's kind of obvious what you're doing, and that's you get into a larger conversation about I'd like to show people what I'm able to find at yard sales, so that type of thing. But if I'm looking at an item and they say, you know, $5, and I'm like, I don't know, if I'm on the fence and I kind of want to look it up, I'll just say something. Well, you know what? I'm going to put it down for now. I might grab it. I have to check and I have to find out. I'll just say something like that. Not to the point where I'm lying about it or anything like that, but I don't really feel like it's their business. So I'm not going to come out and say anything to them unless they say something to me. If that makes sense. So, you know, for all they know, you're texting your wife. For all they know, you're, you know, I don't know, looking something else up. They might know, and some people have said, okay, well, look it up. You know, I sell this for $20 on eBay. I'm giving you a good deal at $5. To me, that's if someone comes to me and says, hey, it sells for this much on eBay, I'm probably not going to stay at that yard sale very long because there's not going to be a whole lot of value in that for me in most cases. Biff Boffo says, please don't be Beanie Babies. Oh no. I love it. Anytime Picker says, I know one thing, flipping ain't easy, and Tommy agrees with me on that. It isn't easy. It's not hard. Okay, there's no real element to any of it that's hard, but the things that come up kind of make it a pain in the butt, like your chargebacks that every so often might come up, like once a year, if that, or your return requests when you know the item you sent was good, but they're trying to say something that's still easy to deal with, or not hard to deal with, but it's just the stress and the time that you take just kind of makes it not easy. So I think it's a fitting title for anyone who sells full-time or, you know, seriously on eBay, even if you're part-time. Tommy says the $500 one has a Burger King toy and on McDonald's bag. Okay. Anytime Picker says, I remember when Tommy invested $100,000 in Beanie Babies and then sold one for $200,000. The shipping was $3.99 first class. I sold one for $3 with 90,000 shipping. so, you know, it's like this, $3, right? I can go out and buy a scratcher. I lose, right? Was with some friends, the same friends I'm going out to dinner with tonight. We were playing in a poker tournament last night, you know, so I happened to win money playing cards last night, and you know, $3 is $3. Darren Adams says a lot of people just playing games with those prices. I think it's funny or something, but in general, the price is lower on those. Okay. Anytime Picker says Beanie Babies ain't easy. Why I work, I see crazies doing the same thing, hoping for a nut job to make the purchase. What other reason could it be? So are you saying that one can, and I guess I could, like Archie said, well, why don't you just try it, you know? And I'm like, I don't know, you know, put these things up for $100, you know, and just to see who's going to bite. And especially in this economy, but we're looking at the last 90 days. So what's up with those accounts? Now, maybe you can look them up. Maybe you can check out some of these Beanie Babies that I looked up just to see, maybe to dive deeper. But why would someone bother to list these at such a huge price and then have someone come in and just buy it? That doesn't make sense to me. So something's just weird. And maybe it's just me overthinking things, but and I'm not trying to justify trying to price these items at $500 or $600 because I realize they're probably not worth the darn. But how is it that some people are able to get those sales? That's kind of what I'm wondering. And some people can get confused when they're looking at comps and they see that, oh, it just sold for 600, and ignore all the lower priced comps. And then, now they're buying it at a higher level. So that person wanted $30 for those Beanie Babies. Someone's seeing that, there could be a $500 or $600 one in here. That person's buying it pretty much what they're going to be able to sell them for, which is a mistake. Let's see. Here we go. We got Tommy says there's 3 reasons. 1 is money laundering. 2 is eBay bots running up GMVs for Wall Street. Lastly, people just buy them to mess with people and never pay to run them off the platform. Yeah, but I just wonder. I mean, okay, the first 2, okay, I get. The last one, though, involves a seller that's going to list that. I think I can get $600 for it. What possesses that person to list it for $500 or $600? And you have multiple sellers selling on a couple of these, selling at very high price points. One was like $360, one was $500, one was $600, and within the last 90 days. So are they all involved in some kind of a scheme? I don't know. Maybe it just strikes me funny because when I'm looking at comps, I never see anything like that. Savage Pickers, sometimes comps are useless. I sell vintage and I can't. Here's the thing. If you can't look it up because maybe you have a one-of-a-kind item, I get that. I know that comps can be useless sometimes when you're dealing with maybe someone made a mistake on the price, someone bought it, they canceled the sale because they screwed up on the price, that kind of thing. That doesn't necessarily mean someone paid for it or the transaction went through. So I totally get it. Stepmo's in the house. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Let's see. No One Designed Too says, I knew a crackhead who sells drugs on eBay with Beanie Babies. Maybe it could be that. I hope not. Hope it's not like filled with like fentanyl or anything like that. That would be horrible. But I think we're safe because, well, no, I don't know because they're in the bag. I was touching them, but no, they're protected with that plastic. So I doubt that highly. I really think this guy said he had resold for a while, maybe 5 years ago, and he was cleaning out his garage, and he had that stuff sitting in there, and he really didn't care. He was just trying to get rid of it. Eagles Can Fly is in the house. He's been super busy, so thanks for hanging out with us today. Let's see. Picky Ricky says, how's it hanging? Well, you see, I'm at 4:00. I gotta run because I just checked it out. It's going to be every bit of 40 minutes to get where I'm going. So, and I do not like being late. Only for live streams by a few seconds. Thomas says there's only a few beanies worth money, period. The original 8, some errors and punchers. The lobster is supposed to be pinchers. I sold one for $2,500 like 20 years ago. That's when people actually cared about them, right? Comps are sometimes useless. I sell vintage, and many times the comps are all over the place. I go with my gut and my profit margin markup. Yeah, I mean, for me, like for instance, I bought it's like a fish. It's like a ceramic fish, and I guess it's like a little vase. And on the bottom of it, it said Tokyo, made in Tokyo. Now, for $2, I'm going to buy that and take a chance on it. I haven't listed it yet, of course, but at some point I plan on it. But the fact you could look at the markings on some of these, and if it's like a limited edition, that type of thing, and you're getting it cheap, the key is getting it at a good price. You can maybe take a chance on it. No One Designs it is not just Beanie Babies, but others as well. That crackhead uses eBay to get paid for the drugs, and he'll send it off by Uber Eats or whatever service local. Picky Ricky says 4 lost packages this week and 4 refunds already. And that sucks when that happens. When you get a lost package or item not received from eBay, you have 7 days from the last known scan on the package, whether it's en route, that type of thing, before you have to do something, take action. So it kind of stinks that happens. Now, someone contacted me and said, well, hey, wait, what happens when I get an item not as received, or an item not received? And of course I have to give them their money back because it's stuck somewhere, and then it finally shows up as delivered. What do I do? Well, and this has happened to me before. eBay told me to call them back and let them know, and they will make me whole. And I don't know if they're going to charge the customer or not, but I've had that happen, and they did just that. So something to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on those 4 packages and see what happens. I'm sure at least one of them eventually will show up. Let's see. Anytime Picker says, I told Goodwill employee once to raise prices on Beanie Babies if he finds errors, and told him to go get the magnifying glass and read the label. I almost wish I didn't buy these, but I mean, I'll still just throw them up maybe as a lot or whatever for like $10 or whatever. The only Beanie Baby that has any value is Enaman. And I think that's for a Commonwealth picker, right? Let's see here. We got Ed's in the house. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thomas says the rule of thumb is to take out all the anomalies on the comps. Yeah, there's just so many though. And, I'm not going to sit at the yard sale and, here, boy, this is aggravating. I'm not going to sit at the yard sale and, tell them, look up every single one in this little box. I found one and it had a pretty high price. Gave him his $3 and I took him home, and, the rest is history. I just got an email from my carrier saying that she picked up my stuff. We know that didn't happen. That's another reason why we're leaving it for her, so I can go and drop these packages off. But she never came to the house. That's just aggravating. Aunt White says Funkos are the new Beanie Babies. I'm really thinking that. I do think that. I stay away from Funko Pops. I do know some people like Carrie from American Arbitrage. He buys, he gravitates to the Funkos like that. I just really don't have a lot of interest in them. Tommy says, heard of Black Diamond VHS. They're hot as well. I've not heard of that. Anytime Picker says, pickers with big experience don't need to look up sold comps. Right, because if you've sold something before, you know what you're looking for, especially if you sell in a niche and you're looking for a specific type of item. You don't need to look up a lot of those things. But with me, I sell pretty much anything. And that kind of presents its own problems. And, you can fall into a lot of traps doing that because you never really gain a whole lot of experience. You might learn a little bit about one item that you're selling, but, if you don't come across that item often, you might just forget what you learned on that. It's through being repetitive and dealing with the same type of item all the time. Like I'm learning a lot about shoes, that type of thing, because I'm dealing with shoes just constantly. Michelle Murnick says Beanie Babies have lots of variations and errors, which will increase the value. So I really didn't look closely for errors in those packages. I doubt that I have anything that's like that. Darren says, if you look at most of the items that sold are from sellers that have zero feedback, people are just creating accounts and playing games. I was reading about it on an eBay from probably an eBay forum from a couple weeks ago. And then Tommy says, look at this, John. I'm out buying all the dental floss, gum soft picks, advanced mint, dental care floss, toothpicks, 180 picks. Ed says, I do price based on the comps and price them usually $10 above for offers, of course. And I guess that's kind of where we fall into a trap. I mean, I guess if you're using all the tools that eBay gives you, you're using promoted listings, standard, your markdown sales, you're using coupons, that type of thing, to not only get the item in front of more people, right, to get your search results up, but to then lower that price. But you want to make sure that price is a reasonable number. And I think sometimes we want to get top dollar for our item, and we just kind of sabotage your own success because we're just priced too high. There's an element of our buyers that will look up our items based on price, not just rely on best match. And if you're priced a lot higher than someone else that's selling the same shoe, you may not be getting that sale. Anytime Picker says, I was at an estate sale today and nobody was looking up comps. There was at least 20 resellers who I see at the estate sales all the time. They just know what to buy. Yeah, you just learn as you go, right? Stepmo Nike Trout 7 baseball shoes, only $14 in Ross today. That's not a good buy. I could tell you that. I bought those back in 2019, bought the Trout baseball cleats, and they had different variations, and they're like $10 to $15. And those things they barely moved. I barely got my money back on those. And White says, shipped my first 10 items to Canada. It was a nightmare trying to figure out brokerage fees and other fees. They made my buyer pay it COD or they wouldn't leave it, even though I left instructions to call. Wow. Ren Gregory says, so a buyer just messaged me and asked me to add apartment number. Will that mess up shipping? Is this the scammer? They picked a very expensive and asked me to add apartment number. If to me, my rule is if it's around $20 or less, I'll just go in and edit the address in eBay and run the eBay label, right? Because sometimes it happens. If I lose out, I'm losing out on a $20 item or cheaper. If it's an expensive item, I'll tell them, look, we cannot change your address. We'll need to cancel this and cancel it by way of, issue with an address, and tell them that we'll relist the item and to go in and put the correct address in. And now, if it's a scammer, you'll never hear from them again. And that's probably a good thing. Ed says, what if you use Poshmark comps to price your items on eBay instead of eBay comps and vice versa? Bad idea or good idea? I don't think it's a good idea because historically on Poshmark, you can get more for your clothing and your shoes than you can usually on eBay. And I guess, Tommy, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but we have a pretty large account on Poshmark. I guess Jenna just came in and told me we're ambassador too. I have no idea what that means. But she deals with all the Poshmark stuff. But my experience is, like, for instance, these, well, I don't have them behind me now, but those size 2 shoes, right? I'm getting like $10, $12 all day plus shipping on those on Poshmark. Have quite a few sales on those on Poshmark. On eBay, I have them priced at $7.99 plus shipping, and I still, I'm getting sales, but usually it's when they make an offer for $6 or $5, and I'm still taking it because I'm into those shoes so cheap, and I just want to move them. Let's see. Janet says, I was going to ask if anyone was having the lost packages this year. I haven't had it happen this year. Well, from my knowledge, it was actually 2 years ago. We were getting a lot of lost packages. It started like the end of November back in 2020. And it was a problem for a lot of people. I think most resellers were affected by that. Now, knock on particle board here. I haven't had any issues yet with that this time of year, the last couple months. So I hope they fix that problem. Anytime Picker says, Ren Gregory, the buyer needs to go into his settings and put the proper address before purchasing anything from you. Yeah, just got to explain to them, look, this is an expensive item, and I would rather you supply the correct address than somehow I go in there and mess it up. I mean, if that comes down to that conversation, but generally just have them go in and buy it again and just let them know you can't do that. Picky Ricky says, I sell Funko, but it's a collector's item and they must be mint when I sell them anyway. I only buy new retail arbitrage ones myself. So how do you do it? If you buy, let's say, I don't know if you do online arbitrage or if you're just selecting them in the store. I guess this wouldn't be a problem if you're selecting them in the store. But what happens if you find a deal online and you have them ship it to you and they're not in mint condition, the box and everything? You just return it. How do you handle that? Like Tommy says, you lose seller protection, changing the address, which is why I just say to myself, look, if it's a $20 sale, they're probably not scamming me for it. And if I lose out, I lose out. But it's my experience that when you tell them no, and it becomes sort of a higher effort on the customer. You want to create a low effort customer experience. So just saying, hey, I'll add your apartment number is just easy for them. But if you're making them go through other steps to buy the same item, guess what? They might go on and, okay, I'll buy the item again and find, oh, I have the same item from another seller at a better price. It's that thing where eBay, they bought the item and they see a bunch of these same items that eBay shows them at a lower price point, and then they go with that instead. So for me, it's not that big of a deal. If it's $20 or less or somewhere in that range, I'll do it. But more than that, no, they're going to have to buy it again. And I'll just take the chance if they buy from me again. Let's see. Ren Gregory says, thanks. They paid already. Do I refund first? Tell them to change the address and buy. Yeah, I would send them a message and, contact buyer and just state, I'm going to have to refund you. And they've already contacted you, by the way, because they're asking you to change the address, and just say, I'm going to have to refund you and I'll have to relist it. And please buy it again with the correct address. Let's see. Alice the Gamer 206 says, my niece has a ton of Beanie Babies she wants me to resell. I want to get the best price so she can go to college, but in this economy, I don't know. Yeah, from the comps, the real comps, you're only going to get about maybe $2, $3, $4, $5 for most of these things. And, I could probably make $20 when it's all said and done. So it's not that big of a deal on these. So you're not going to even make enough to go to lunch with her, unfortunately, unless she has a lot. Let's see. No One Design 2 says, I bought 5 pair of Air Jordan Retro high top size 11 for $5 each, new in a dinged up box, but sneaker was flawless, stolen, of course, because of a crackhead. And I bet you sold those very quick. Oh, real quick update on my my Louis Vuittons, my Christian Louis Vuittons. They did get through authentication and they did get delivered to the buyer. Haven't heard. It's been like a week now since then. So everything went well. I was really expecting them to, maybe send it back because, there's flaws in it, this, that, and other thing. But when you're selling it used and you describe all the blemishes that could be, that's a good process. I was really hesitant about it, but to be honest with you, it kind of nips in the bud any complaints of item not as described because the authenticator has already gone through that process. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to find somebody having questions. I don't see many questions here. No One Design says, I love my crackheads. They work for peanuts or a chicken sandwich. Jeez. Crack's not the drug of choice anymore, is it? And I don't know why I'm asking you guys, but we talk about crackheads. But I mean, I think we've been talking about crackheads for like 20 years. So Tommy Bernard says only college he's going to be selling Beanie Babies is maybe KFCU to make the extra crispy. My wife Jen is in the house, and then we got hot girls are in the house. So I got to block these guys. Oh boy. So not a whole lot going on today, guys. Unless you guys have some questions here, we got a few minutes to maybe chat, I guess. How are your sales doing? Mine are just blah. I mean, you wouldn't know it's fourth quarter by looking at my numbers at all. And it's not for the lack of doing what I do every day. Unfortunately, because I am constantly listing, the number of items in my store is increasing, which is not the goal for me. I do want to scale, of course, which means that I want to scale by listing more, not by not getting enough sales, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. You hear other people having great sales. Tommy, want to know from you. You sell pretty much just shoes. And have you noticed a drop in sales at all from your shoes, Ed, as well? Just curious because I might get a sale here and there when I look at my orders. I'll get maybe 1 pair sold on eBay per day, maybe a pair every other day on Poshmark, that kind of thing. But yeah, and I'm not talking about those cheap size 2, girls' boots that I bought too many of. Talking about just the Nikes, the Adidas, the name brand stuff that I have listed. And I'm just kind of looking through it here. It looks like it's about maybe 1 a day. So I'm just kind of curious how you guys are doing on that. Who's Your Pick says, I sell a lot of t-shirts sold well before November and now dried up. Is that normal this time of year? I would say clothing, from what I read a long time ago, clothing has its peak seasons in the spring and in the fall, usually around the time kids are getting back into school. So you're also dealing with a lot of other sellers. It's a saturated market. So, depending on what you're selling, vintage t-shirts are the hot thing right now, but generally probably not such a hot thing to sell in November and December. Bling Bling Factor Australia says sales were okay this week, but November, early December should be my best month so far. So that's good. Biff Boffo says December was great for me in 2021. If I can match this year, that'll be good. Not expecting to be better. And I checked, like I told you in a previous live, I checked mine and I was down like 20, even with a good month. Good month this year in early November, like late October, early November, as compared to the previous year, was still not very good. I was down like 25%. Picky Ricky says, I've been pulling listings down and donating them. If you got such a dead item that's never going to sell, it might be just a good idea to do something like that. I like creating like liquidation boxes. And once I get enough items in those boxes, I'll sell them locally for like $10 a box. There's people that will take chances on them at like, flea markets and Mercari, that type of thing. Ed says, I have coupons on, but so far not many sales. I think it's just that shoes aren't a need anymore. And if it's a need, people will go to Ross to get them instead of online. People are still buying them, but I think they're looking for a good deal. They're looking for a good deal. And I think we hit on this early in this live stream and on the last week's live stream. You got to be in a place where you can source your items, or your shoes in this case, at such a price where you can come down on your price. So like if you're in for $10 a pair, it's really going to be hard to justify going any lower than say 20. And this is not counting shipping, but say 20. And then of course, after eBay gets their chunk, you're only looking at a few bucks. And I can understand why you're trying to get more for your money, because you're into these shoes for a higher price point. But for me, you maybe start going to yard sales. I know that LA, there's yard sales are still happening. Weather is still great out there. There's places year round where they're having yard sales. I know even in Vegas right now with 40-degree, 50-degree mornings, people are still out and about doing yard sales. And that's another place to look. I hit the jackpot. I may never find that again. But I'm still looking, and I'm still buying shoes now as a result. Tommy says sales are staying the same as rest of the year so far. Not a big bump yet like last year. Poshmark is up pretty good. Yeah, and I just think I just got to get more of my stuff up. Jen's been working on getting the eBay listings pushed over to Poshmark, and it's just a matter of time getting those things up. I think we got like 100 and something items on Poshmark. And so once we get more items up, I think we have at least 2 to 250 between the shoes and the clothing. Picky Ricky says, I'm struggling to even get any views on my trainers. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Well, you can always send me an email at flippingainteasy2020@gmail.com. I do apologize to a lot of you who've sent me emails recently. I'm just a few days behind on checking and just going through and answering those emails. I literally was out until 2 a.m. That's how long this poker tournament went. And of course, it finished very late. Let me just put it that way. No One Design 2 says, this week's sales for me were a great hit. My sales quota yesterday and still have the weekend left. That's awesome. Aunt White says, for whatever reason, I've gotten heavily into trains from the 40s and 50s. Some newer ones, American Flyer, Marks, Lionel. I bought a huge collection for $1,000. Definitely should triple my money. That's awesome. But I know nothing about trains. Well, Google is your friend. And whenever you buy something that you're not sure about, especially when you buy something in quantity, it's good to start looking into maybe reading articles or forums about the merchandise that you're selling, so you have an idea of what you have. So if someone contacts you and asks you questions, or you have information that you can add to your item description and your listing that you may not have had before. I think one of the things that people ask is, because I've sold some of the trains, is what gauge is the tracks? Basically, how wide, what are the dimensions, the tracks that train uses? Because if they're buying it for a collection, they want it to work on their particular system, they need to know what that is. Jersey Recycler says, sales are down for me from last year. Certainly high inflation is cutting into buyers' ability to purchase. It is. I'm a firm believer in that. I think if things were normal, we would have, I mean, in my case, I would have a lot of these items that I've sold or that I've listed, they'd be sold by now. My store wouldn't be growing in size. In fact, it would probably be shrinking. So again, it's just a symptom of the problem. I think the problem is something we can't control. That's inflation. So it's important to kind of ask yourself, what is my plan going forward? And I mean, I don't know if we can list our way out of this. I don't. And some people seem to think that things are fine and things are going to be fine. And if you're in that camp, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being optimistic, but I think we also need to be realistic and start taking a look around you. You go buy eggs at the store, it shouldn't be $5 a dozen. I mean, $5 or $6 a dozen. You know, things are kind of getting out of hand, and it's hurting people. It's hurting people's ability just to kind of get through month to month. And that, of course, directly affects all resellers. Happy and Joyful says, Ren Gregory, I called eBay and they advised me that only the buyer can change the address for security reasons. I had to cancel refund, reason being shipping address. Yes, that is the correct answer. Again, I will do it for them if it's a smaller priced item, because, you know, most people are honest, in my opinion. Darren Adams, sales are slow, but the only way to beat it is to keep sourcing and to keep listing. It's just like fishing, and the more bait you have in the ocean, the more fish you'll catch. Yes, provided that the fish aren't dying off. You know, if the fish are just floating up to the surface, you know, it's just like, okay, you know, how many more fish are down there? BG says, heard this morning that there are some t-shirt scammers out there. Yeah, that was on Rockstar's video. You know, and what he said was right. There's people that are trying to take advantage. There's channels that sometimes try to take advantage, but we won't go there. But there's people that will try to take advantage of people and their desire to get a deal, to make money, to you know, they have all the good intentions on buying something to resell. And if they say, wow, this is a great deal, and the person has a great story to back it up, then unfortunately people are going to get scammed. So please, you know, do your due diligence. You know, don't jump to the first person that comes to you saying, hey, you know, I've got this great deal. Let someone else fall for that, because unless you know the person, I mean, if you're at a yard sale and someone's saying, look, I got all these shirts, I'm going to sell you a great deal, then of course, go for it. But if we're talking about online, most of these scams are online, and just don't fall for it. Max Dawson said, any YouTuber who picks up Beanie Babies is disregarded here on out. Later, best of luck. Thanks, Max. I mean, maybe you mean here on out, so maybe not just this time, but that's fine. Choose who you actually want to watch. And I hope that I give decent information at times. I hope my videos are informative to a lot of you guys. That's why I do it. Unfortunately, if you don't feel like it is, then certainly no one's forcing you to watch these videos. But, you know, I am not a collector. I'm not. I've bought things that are collectibles. And I probably will continue to buy things that are collectibles. And for $3, I'm going to take a chance on something like that. You know, just like for $70, I was going to take a chance on something I didn't know about. And guess what happened? Now, I know the whole story about, you know, Beanie Babies this and Beanie Babies that. But for $3, I was still going to do it. And guess what, Max? I'm still going to make money off of these. $3, probably turn it into about 20 to 30. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but there's a lot of people who will buy Beanie Babies and things like that that do have some resale value and make money. And that's what it's about. So again, hopefully you get some value from these videos, but I'm going to hit home runs. I'm going to strike out, and I'm just like you. And I'm sure, Max, you've made mistakes. And I'm sure, Max, you've bought things that you maybe thought, maybe I shouldn't have bought this. And that doesn't make you any less of a seller if you have. And I'm sure you have. Let's see. Aunt White says, does Mercari have an algorithm like eBay, like a minimum of 6 photos, 65 words and title? The titles are about the same, so you don't really have to change a lot in the titles. They do have, I don't think there's a minimum of photos. Now, as far as the algorithm, I can tell you, I have crappy photos in my Mercari listings. And the reason is because I've been using the 4x3 size photos and not the 1x1, the square photos for the longest time. It's never been an issue on eBay. And then when I cross post over to Mercari, they want the square format. And of course, they're looking for the square format, and it comes out like it's zoomed in. It's like blown up. And I'm still making sales with bad photos. So I don't know if they are as algorithm driven. I'm sure, of course, when you go and do a search, it is driven by your performance and various factors. I mean, they give you little badges for how fast you communicate with the buyer and this, that, and the other thing. But I just don't think it's as advanced as eBay's, if that makes sense. Process, I've been picking items and getting rid of them. Sold an item in bulk lot. Also going to get rid of DVDs. Just not worth it. It's really not. I mean, I have quite a bit in my store, but you just list them, move on, and just remember not to buy those DVDs again. Mike Mazzella says, does Mercari not have an option to change a tracking number? I got screwed by a buyer because of that. A lot of times you get the tracking directly from Mercari because they're buying the label that way. But I would maybe reach out if you're the one buying the label, let's say on Pirate Ship and then uploading it, maybe contact support at Mercari. I know they're pretty good about getting back to you, and just contact them and let them know that you uploaded the wrong tracking number and here's the correct one, and see if behind the scenes they can do something to help you with that. Ed says Poshmark has been beating eBay with sales, and that's that I have prices even higher on Poshmark and they sell for full price. Yeah, the clientele is going to be more willing to buy your items at full price, full ask on Poshmark than they will on eBay. That's just the nature of the buyer. As another example, on Mercari, and it's more of a yard sale type atmosphere. People aren't looking to pay full price on Mercari. So I don't even generally get my items onto Mercari till they've been on eBay for at least 30 days. And I'm just trying to blow them out and make something off of them. So every platform has a different type of buyer. Sure, this is how many items do you list per day on eBay? I'd say about 10 to 15 is kind of the average for me. Of course, on weekends, generally I try to take weekends off. I will run like 5 drafts. Like I have some drafts set up for tomorrow. I won't be around tomorrow. And so I'll just run them while I'm out. Give eBay some love, that type of thing. Max says next week's live is on Avon bottles. Yes, and my grandmother's old Avon collection, and I'm going to have them up for sale. I have a live auction, and yeah. So I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn from these items. Again, just thought, and it's funny. I talked to Archie. He's like, I would never have bought those things. Well, guess what? I may never buy them again, but even with my mistakes, I'm going to make some money. And that Black Diamond VHS, Max. I haven't bought anything like that. Blithering Rando says, I've sold plenty. Now my issue is replenishing my stock. The thrift stores have been lacking the last week, so my other source has been iffy. Yeah, and I had some opportunities to buy some liquidation. Kind of passed it up. They're really high right now, a lot higher than normal, and I just didn't want to overpay. Flipping Goody says, Tommy, you have no interest in my Barbie dolls by today? And yeah, that's another thing. Barbie dolls. You know, that lady I came across with all these shoes, she had a ton of Barbie dolls and was shocked when I showed her the comp saying that, you know, this thing might be 20, 30 years old, new in the package, but it's only selling for like 10 to 15 bucks. And, you know, sometimes people just are so shocked, they won't even believe you unless you show them. Ed says, pack of 60 eggs near me went from $15.77 to $23.77. People are more worried about getting food than spending on eBay. I'm afraid you're right on that, my friend. Eddie Estrada says, John, have you been to a new Goodwill in Vegas? Been seeing a lot of videos on it. No, where's that at? I've been to the one in Centennial Hills. That's not far from me. That's been there for at least 2-3 years, at least. But yeah, I'd like to know which one that is. I've been going to the bins every so often. I think that's probably going to be the extent of my Goodwill shopping. With all the yard sales that continue to happen, it just doesn't make sense, I don't think. Let's see. Almost out of comments here. Ren says, thanks, happy and joyful. 100 plus the boots. Feel lucky. And the only reason I knew was from watching these videos. Thanks. So thank you for helping each other out. I appreciate that. Nature Made in Utah says, selling with the global shipping program. My question is, do I need to select one of the numerous shipping options, or will they let me determine the best route to ship for me? No, you select the best shipping option to get the item to Erlanger, Kentucky. And then once they get it, they're going to do whatever they do and ship it out however they feel is best. So your obligation is to get it to Kentucky. Picky Ricky says, I just sold the Battlestar Galactica box set an hour ago for $14.99, paid $2, well, £2, but the singles, yeah, they got to go. Yard Sale Steals says, my son just bought a $700 sewing machine and the seller knew it was a gift and asked if it should ship somewhere else since it was shipped in the original box. A shock knowing if they forfeit protection. Yeah, they do forfeit protection, but you know, as far as a $700 sewing machine, I definitely wouldn't do that. I would try not to go that route, even if that means you're going to have to list it again and wait for that next buyer to come along. You want to be protected on a large item like that. Let's see. Tommy says Ross and Burlington have a ton of holiday Barbies from previous years. Some are pretty good profit margins. Retail arbitrage $14.50 to $60. And the Barbies that I bought, you know, I bought those Barbies, and of course I bought them for about 75 cents was my cost on each of them. All of them are sold. They're all sold. I had like 84 Barbies. Half of them went to Amazon. Well, a little bit more than the half went to Amazon. The rest were on eBay, and yeah, they're gone. So I don't regret that purchase. I did a lot on Amazon this time of year, and it makes me just realize what I should have already known, that if I come across a lot of new stuff, I need to think about sending it over there instead of putting it on eBay. And that's just in most cases. Now there's gonna be some cases where, you know, an item's not selling, might as well just put it on eBay. But I need to give Amazon a little bit more attention than I have. Darren says, hit the like button for our friend 96 watching and only 17 likes. So yeah, please do that, guys. I'd appreciate it. We got a few more minutes before I have to wrap this up, but yeah, I would appreciate someone hitting the like button. That would really mean a lot to me. Carla says, Mercari has been dead for me. It kind of is dead, to be honest with you. Mercari has been, but I haven't given them the kind of attention. So like just the other day, I think I listed like 20 or 30, did some cross listing, but I don't really do the cross listing as often as I'd like to do. Was kind of at a point where I was doing it every day, but I'm more outside with my product, trying to get a lot of this stuff listed. LSGS Rob, John, how come you don't just continuously mark down your items each month, but move on to another site instead? Seems like a waste of time spreading yourself so thin. It would be a waste of time if it wasn't that it's so easy. It's easy for me. I basically just check my Mercari on a daily basis. You know, Jenna's sort of the one now that's in charge of like the Poshmark, the Mercari, the other sites, and maintaining some of the current listings while I'm out there listing. So that's kind of the program we've set up. But I do mark down my items. I do. You know, it's just one of those things where I find that there's reasons why, like for instance, I'll have an item that may look like let's say a phone mount for your car, brand new in the box, and I can't get a fair value for it. And it's because you have a lot of competition from drop shippers selling the same type of thing online on eBay. After 30 days, move it over to Mercari. No drop shippers are there. And guess what? That thing moves. So maybe I should probably just consider that when I'm first listing the item, that type of thing. But, I'm going to have to look at some of my processes, but it's quite possible. Now, what is weird here is I think my mailman or my mail carrier is here, and my stuff is in my car. And if she is here, then I'll have to give my keys to Jenna so that we can get this going here. We got about 2 or 3 more minutes. Carla says, I bought a Beanie Baby lot and I have mixed feelings about it. It's in the back seat. It's in the trunk. Okay. I bought a Beanie Baby lot and I have mixed feelings about it because of the comps and prices are everywhere. Any ideas? You could try, and I doubt those are real listings. I mean, after our conversation, I really doubt those are real listings that had high prices on the comps. So really, I mean, depends on what you got those items for. I mean, I would be realistic about it. If you want to try to list them at a high price and see what happens, that's kind of what Archie's advice was to me. But you got to be realistic. Those aren't going to sell at that price more than likely. So just get them down to what the other comps are showing. Most of the other comps are at, and lower your expectations. Let's see. Damone D Big Dog says, I have a brand new in the original package Beanie Baby for 99 cents plus first class shipping. Hasn't sold in 6 months, 25% promotion. Yeah, which is why, I can throw those out for a lot for $10 plus shipping, and maybe someone will come around and buy them for me. Who knows? Maybe give them a deal, but I'll make something off of it. $3 is just dirt cheap, I think. Carlos has tried to sell my beanies on Whatnot. Buyers want to sell everything for $1, and that said, it's a lot of work for pennies. Yeah, because that's why a lot of people on Whatnot are starting off at $2 and not $1, because if you sell an item at $1, you're losing money. LSGS Rob, if your items are 4 pounds and under, don't use eBay's global shipping program. Use Pirate Ship simple export rate. If you get an international sale and use Pirate Ship standard international, yes, I agree. eBay only charges final value fee on domestic shipping, not what you charge for international if you do it yourself. And then Rob says, my international sales have skyrocketed since using simple export rate. Then again, I sell clothing, so most everything is 4 pounds and under. Tommy got regated on Amazon in most categories other than the clothes. I stopped selling there for well over a year. Yeah. If you're grandfathered into like some of the bigger brands, but for me, I didn't have a lot of activity, and it's really hard. They continually want that invoice, and it's doable to get invoices, but I just don't want to bother with it. I haven't really bothered with it. And White says, I always mark my items $5 to $10 more on Mercari because everyone wants to send a lower offer. Yep. Anytime Picker says the good advice would be just to stop buying Beanie Babies, and it'll definitely be my last one. Again, you think sometimes you can pick a diamond in the rough, right? And I was able to do it a few weeks ago, and I wasn't all that serious. At $3, I'm not. If it was at $10, I wouldn't even have given it any thought at all. But for $3, packaging it actually with a lot of different items, I thought it was doable, right? So I'll still sell it. I'll still make money, but it's not a bolo by any means at all. GT says, first IC3 complaint. What address do I put for eBay managed payments? Physical address. Can't find it anywhere. You can give them the San Jose address. It's got to be somewhere, their corporate headquarters. I believe it's San Jose, if I'm not mistaken. Just Google it. Let's see. Blithering Rando says, I'm always amazed when I see a book for sale at like $4, no shipping. Medium mail is at least $3.49. It's like eBay post stuff for cheap to drive down prices. It's amazing sometimes you see these and it's like, I know you're not going to make anything off of that. So why are you even bothering? And so it's, I guess if you're in the business of just trying to make a few pennies here, a few pennies there, you sell 100, 200 items a day and that type of thing. But you know, it is what it is. So now we are here at 4 o'clock Pacific time. Here's Jenna.
Hi, guys.
Want to thank, we have 111 people watching. Want to thank each and every one of you guys for being here with us today. Sorry I couldn't make this a little longer live stream. Would like to, but we have plans with friends.
We'll make it up to you on Monday.
But I could have easily not had the live stream, but I just thought it was too important to cancel the live stream today. So want you guys to have an excellent weekend. Keep listing, keep making those sales, keep using your phone to when you're sourcing. And, you know, I don't care what people think, if they think you're a reseller or not. You got to use your tools to figure out if maybe buying Beanie Babies is a good idea or not. And hopefully you guys will continue to tune into my videos, even though I made a bad buy. But I don't think it was that bad of a buy because I'll make money back.
Even if it's a couple bucks here and there, it all adds up.
Yep. So
have a great weekend, flipping fam.
Yep. And, you know, your tools you're using of your comps are just another example of how sometimes
flipping ain't easy.
And have a great weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you on Monday.